the webinar is meant to be by invitation. So we have made sure that we don't do more than 50 people. So you are free to have your video on, and though you would be on mute when I present, but we intend to have an interactive session where you could pose your question by unmuting yourself as well as provide your inputs. So we have intentionally kept participation less so that it can be more interactive. We will start off. It's going to be 11. I know it's Saturday morning and you're all giving your time for the welfare of your community. So I promise that this will not go beyond 12. What I will do first is that it'll be great to understand which all cities we have participation from before we get started. So if you could just in the chat window put in that, you know, which city you are from, it'll be nice to know. And I will start the presentation shortly. So you could, if you could put the city as well as, you know, if you're a treasurer or if you're an accountant for a community or you're a manager or you are just an interested resident, it'll be interesting for everyone to just get a brief introduction of each other on the webinar. Great. So do we get started? Please feel free to unmute yourself. It'll be nice to hear someone other than myself.
Ma'am, I think we can get started. Participants,
good morning, ma'am.
Keep on coming.
Good morning.
Yeah, this is Sunil Mishra.
Hello. Hello, Mr. Sunil. I see your video.
Yeah.
Hello, my name is Prashant Labhe from Kharghar, Navi Mumbai.
Hello, Mr. Prashant.
Yes.
Yeah, this is Pradeep from Pune. I work and support society committee from the IT perspective.
Great.
I am Devi Prasad from Bhubaneswar. We're just getting started with the apartment community. So just wanted to know what all options we have to reduce our cost.
Perfect. Okay. Great. So I think we have a lot of people introducing themselves on the chat also. So please check that out. And let's get started. I think before we get started, let's take a minute to be thankful that we are safe. We are, you know, able to help people around us. That is a big thing, right? And also a small prayer that those who are struggling, frontline workers, as well as patients of COVID, as well as other ailments, let's pray that, you know, for their quick recovery and getting back home soon. So let's just take our minute for the gratitude and the prayer. Okay. All right, so I will share my screen now. I have a very short presentation because we need to have discussion at the end of it. During the presentation also, I would welcome inputs from you all, so you could chip in as well. Okay. So this workshop presented by our company ADDA, the website is adda.io. We specialize in providing a complete platform for communities, apartment community, villa community, as well as layouts. And what ADDA has are two main products. One is the ADDA ERP, which has the accounting, help desk, asset management, etc. And it has visitor management, which is called Gatekeeper. And of course, at the center of it is the ADDA app, which is an app meant for all the owners and tenants. So if you would like to explore more about ADDA, please check out adda.io. It is built with the research and development and experience over 10 years of working with more than 5,000 apartment communities across India. ADDA is also now being used outside India in the Middle East and Singapore. So what I present to you are some of the learnings that we have had over the years, put in a very concise way. Each topic that we will cover today has details, right? So we do workshops for treasurers where we cover those details. But today we just will remain at a summary level and see how much of benefit I can provide you with the workshop today. Okay, so I hope everyone is able to see my screen. If you are having any difficulty, please type into the chat on Zoom, and we have a team which is on standby, which will help you out separately. So before we jump into Corona specific expenses, let us be very clear about the fundamentals of what is a well-run accounting system in apartments or residential complexes. Okay, so first thing, let us understand what is the day-to-day expense that needs to be covered for an apartment community. When we collect the basic maintenance charges, these are the day-to-day expenses that should be covered. First thing is the service charges, which is the payments that is made towards housekeeping, which is typically a contract, housekeeping, security, salary of manager, or any 2 or 3 employees which you may have on payroll. Most people have majority of their staff on contract, which they get from an agency, but they may have 2 or 3 people on their own payroll, like the manager, the accountant, etc. And other expenses like printing, we do, even though a lot of things have moved online, there are unavoidable printing of posters and sometimes circulars, etc. Retainer fees, audit fees, etc. The second day-to-day expenses, the large head is common area electricity charges, then lift charges, followed by water charges. So these 4 major heads comprise of our day-to-day expenses in any residential community. Of course, if it's a villa community, they will have lesser of the day-to-day expenses, like it will not have lift charges. Second comes the midterm to long-term expenses. So what happens is that this is an area that many communities do not have knowledge of. They typically collect to cover these day-to-day expenses, but they do not think that what about those expenses which they have to plan for, which may come in the midterm or the long term. So first thing are the repair and maintenance. So often we don't have clarity that how much should we collect for the eventualities of, let's say, the water pump breaking down, or some small repairs of the elevators that keep happening, swimming pool that keeps happening, right? So for this, if you would like to plan it well, you could plan for this repair and maintenance fund separate from your maintenance charges, where you collect at this rate, 0.75% of the total construction cost of a unit, right? So I, as a owner of a unit, can contribute up to a minimum of 0.75% of my total construction cost per annum. So this is for you to construct your bill, how much should be collected towards the repair and maintenance fund. This means when a pump breaks down or any such repair is needed, you do not take from your day-to-day collection that you have done, collection towards the day-to-day expense, you take it from the repair and maintenance fund. Secondly, the sinking fund. So this is really meant for the much larger, this is the really long-term expenses where you may have to actually replace a whole equipment. In that case, you can take those things from the sinking fund, those expenses. And that is collected at a minimum of 0.25% per annum of the total construction cost of the unit. And then the corpus fund. Corpus fund is rather a flexible fund which communities decide on based on what their GBM decision is, how much they want to collect. So this is a bit of a planning that if it is done at the beginning of the community's, accounting processes, billing processes getting started, really lays out a smooth running of the community for the future, keeps it ready for the future. So would you have any questions on this before I move to the next section?
Yeah, this is Pradeep. Questions.
Yes.
Yeah, so these are all regulatory charges you talked about, but there would be some voluntary contributions these society members would like to make. And what we found recently was that we wanted to collect some funds for the benefits of the security and the society workers. And there is
Great.
no provision in ADDA right now to collect voluntary donations, which could be, we can set some minimum amount and then people should be able to contribute anything more than that. Just like, PM Cares fund. So I have given the suggestion to your team, but it would be helpful, and this is not only for COVID, we wanted to construct a sports ground and for which we wanted to collect some voluntary contribution from people. So there was no such provision. So we ended up, collecting manually.
Okay. Thank you, sir. I'm aware that there have been inputs like this, especially during this COVID time. I'm parking this question, and we have our team who are directly working with our product management team. So we will bring them in to take on these questions. We will do these questions at the end of the webinar. Thank you, sir. Any other questions?
Yes, ma'am. This is Ankush from Kumar Palmcrest Society, Pune.
Yes.
Okay. You were mentioning about the repair fund, but is it not so as per Maharashtra state bylaws that we require the general body permission to use the repair funds rather than using directly for, say, pump repairs, which is more of a sometimes not a major expenditure, but more of a sundry expenditure, because the WTP, STP always get some sort of repairs going on, the submersible pump tanks or something like that is there. So,
correct.
So how's that? Because as per your this thing, it seemed that you can just use that fund directly.
So, sir, it depends on how you want to plan it. If you are going to be going for GBM permission towards repair and breakdown fund, in that case, you will have to make sure that your maintenance charges, that is then you are considering those small repairs as day-to-day expenses. That's all. That's fine. So if you say that, smaller repairs may be up to 20,000 rupees, let's say, is something like a day-to-day expense, no problem. That means you can be billing for it accordingly and using it accordingly. So those classifications are left to each society, and if you make it part of the GBM, then it becomes documented and clear to everyone.
Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions?
Can I just add a point to his question?
Sure.
Yeah, so in our society, what we have done is repair and maintenance. We use it for routine repair and maintenance, for which we don't take permission from the GPM. But the major repair fund and the sinking fund is something that we park for long term, and we use it for that purpose only. So for that, we will take the GBM permission. But for repair and maintenance, no need for GBM permission. That's what the rule we have followed in our society. We are also based in Pune.
Perfect. Thanks for that input, sir. Your name?
Yeah, my name is Pradeep Kadam.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Pradeep.
Yeah,
Great.
I'm Sunil here.
Yes.
Yeah. Sinking fund, could you please elaborate? Like, we do have to take GBM permission for using sinking fund?
Typically, yes. For using sinking fund and corpus fund, GBM permission would be required. Before that, right in your bylaws, you would actually list certain examples of expenses where you will use sinking fund. Like I know a lot of communities use sinking fund for the exterior painting, which typically you may do in 6 to 8 years, depending on how your exterior paint quality has been, weather of the locality, etc. So those are the kind of things that can be predicted already. Plus, you could have certain incidental expenses that you want to take on from sinking fund for which you would need GBM approval.
Is it
Any other
decided by,
experiences? Yeah.
Is it decided by the quantum? Like say it is more than 2 lakh or 3 lakh, then we go to sinking fund. Or if it is less than 1 lakh, so we can do it from repair maintenance.
Yes, so that's what you would have to decide on what you say is a repair and maintenance and what you call as a major overhaul.
A transformer rewinding or replacement, or a cable, cable replacement. These are big items.
Correct. Yes. So you could keep a limit. Like I said, that you could say that repairs up to 20,000 could be considered as a day-to-day expense, depending on the size of the community. And anything, let's say up to 50,000 rupees can come under sinking fund. Repair and maintenance fund. Anything above that, if you're going to take on more than 50,000 for a single transaction, then you can go for the sinking fund. But again, this varies depending on the size of the community.
Madam, this is Ayanda Singh from Kashipur.
Yes.
Madam, we are facing the problem to recover the money from the defaulter. My question is that what can be measures regarding implementing provisions so that our collection of amount is greater than the amount received as a defaulter?
Okay. I will cover that in the next section, sir. You will get your answer.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Chandan here. Can I have a question?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so my query is on not specific to COVID. So you just mentioned that communities can hire people on their own roll. So can you just tell me, is there some guideline like we have to pay, PF and all?
Okay.
As a trainer, I'm
So,
thinking to do that, but yeah, I don't have clarity on that. What are the rules by the government on that?
okay. As a best practice, associations outsource as many staff as possible, that you take staff from agencies rather than like your own security guards on your payroll or housekeeping
Yeah,
staff
so
on
that's
your
what we are
payroll.
doing now. Yeah, so that's what we are
Yes,
doing
that is
now.
the best
But
practice. That's the best practice.
yeah,
But you could take like a manager, somebody who represents the management committee, who
okay.
oversees all other vendors, can be on the payroll of the association. And that you are fine with it. I think up to 20 employees, you do not have the problem of provident fund, etc. And
Okay.
after that, you will have to provision for provident fund and other labor laws kick in. So it is best
Okay.
that, as many on ground labor is taken from agencies, but manager, and if you are a community who needs a full-time accountant, then even the accountant can be on your payroll.
Okay, so the limit is 20, you are saying?
Yes, unless it has changed recently. For my latest knowledge, it is 20, up to 20 people. You do not have provident fund. I don't hear you.
I think, madam, it is 12, not 20.
It's 12, is it?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
12, not
Please
20.
look that up.
Yeah.
Okay. So
So
please
Sanjeev, we
confirm
are
that.
from SAR Water Park, Bangalore. Yeah.
Okay. So there you go.
Okay, yeah,
So
thank
if
you.
no other question, we move over to the next section. Okay. So in the next one, let us discuss about the need to streamline financials, right? So like someone just now asked that, okay, we have high defaulters. How do we ensure that what we collect is more than at least what is outstanding in default? Before that, I think what we have to understand, that has been a challenge always. That's the challenge of regular times. But in the COVID times, there are some additional reasons that there is more need towards streamlining financials. So let's see. Once this whole corona related prevention started in communities starting March, these are the things we saw, that you have to start providing masks for all your staff who are let's say starting from garbage collectors, cleaning staff, security staff, etc. But then that was just the beginning, right? You have to provide sanitizers or hand wash at the gate. This has been made mandatory in most states. You have to do disinfectation of all your common areas. So towards that, you have to purchase disinfection chemicals, as well as you have to dedicate staff for that. So there is a manpower cost as well as material cost. And then, of course, you have to provide gloves. Like, for example, if you are having quarantined flats, it's a mandatory to have, not mandatory, but it is strongly advised that all the garbage collection housekeeping people are having daily disposable gloves. Similarly, almost every community is now having a thermometer at the gate with which they are ensuring that all visitors who are coming in are not symptomatic. And also there is printing and circulation cost, especially of extra posters and circulars that going around, quarantine posters that are being put on the flat doors and things like that. So COVID has actually added expenses to the community. So what we have seen is every month, depending on the size of the community, sanitization and COVID related expenses have gone to anywhere between 20,000 to 2 lakh per month. Do you have any inputs to this, people who are present?
Yeah, so I have one input, Shan. One is, can ADDA take some initiatives in such situations? I mean, it's now already 2 to 3 months. So in creating some posters or some some common things which could be used by the communities rather than everybody
Definitely.
creating their own.
Sure, sir. Actually, those posters you see, the yellow and black ones, we have created that and it has been circulated. I'll just ensure that it has reached everyone. Are you an ADDA user, sir?
Yes, I am.
Okay, I'll make sure that it reaches you.
Hi, this is Sanjay Agarwal. For this poster,
Yes.
yellow poster, was it mailed or how was it sent?
I think it was sent via WhatsApp by each of the account managers. Those who, for each of your accounts in the backend, we have somebody who's responsible. So they had circulated it, but probably we will make it part of your document repository itself so that you will find it on your ADDA itself. You cannot see my screen?
I can see your photo. Now, right now, nothing is on the screen.
No, not your presentation. The video has just stopped.
Oh, wait a minute. Sorry about that. I'm so sorry.
It's back now.
Start broadcast.
Will the presentation be
Sorry?
The presentation which you are available later on.
Yes, we will share it on our resource page and share the link with you. Are you able to see my screen now?
Yeah, screen is shared. Yeah, screen is shared now, ma'am.
Okay, great. All right. Any other inputs? Anyone has any inputs on expenses? What kind of trend you have seen in the increase in expenses due to Corona? Okay.
I think it's the same trend. Whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Also, just since you asked that, how ADDA can help. So one of the things that we have done is that we have really started increasing the number of services on our Discover platform. When you go to ADDA app, you will see a section called Discover. You will actually find vendors who do sanitization for common areas, who sell masks, gloves, sanitizers, etc. in bulk and all that stuff. So these are hand-picked ones which are being used by many communities that we have listed there. So feel free to check them out. There are also other things like car disinfection and all that. In some areas, if it's a containment zone, they are also mandating that every vehicle that will enter the gate has to be disinfected and all that. So please feel free to check those sections out if you find those vendors useful. Okay, now, so we are very clear that expenses are increasing. But the question is that, can we increase maintenance charges, right? From the surveys that we have done, the answer seems to be not likely, because there is a bit of an economic distress and people do not want to enter into increased cash flow. So of course, voluntary contributions is one thing, but if you say that, look, I want to add another line item called Corona related expenses in the maintenance bill and pass that in GBM, most likely we will face a lot of resistance to that. So here we are, expenses will go up, but then we are limited with how much we can increase the maintenance charges. So let's see what all we can do to, first of all, ensure that the accounting management is fine, and then look at the financial management also. Okay, so first thing that someone asked now about orders. I think that's the first thing. That is money on the table. When we are sending out bills, but collection is not coming on time, money is being left on the table in terms of the actual collection that should come in, plus the interest cost of it. Towards that, what is most important, regardless of the system you use, most important is to bring in a discipline and seriousness about the maintenance, billing, and collection. In many communities, we have seen before they take on ADDA, residents do not take the maintenance bill seriously, because it is just loosely informed to people that, look, we are collecting at 3 rupees per square feet per month, so just pay. You know what is your square feet? Here is the bank detail, so just pay it, right? So most people just ignore it. They don't take it as a serious payment that they have to do, mandatory payment that they have to do. But the moment you are actually sending them a bill, a well-created, professional, legal bill with the details of what they have to pay, how they have to pay, on the first of every month or quarter, whatever is your billing frequency, there is a significant increase in the seriousness of amongst the residents. Secondly, you are giving them every method to pay. Not only you are giving them an accurate bill, you are giving them every method to pay. Okay, you can pay right now online on the mobile phone. So they can just pay using UPI app, Bheem or Paytm or whatever at zero convenience charges. There is no more complaints that no, if I pay online, I have to pay something extra. Not there. Government has made UPI zero, and we have passed it on to our users, so they can very well pay it online. UPI, best way to pay during Corona times. Money reaches the association bank. Thirdly, what happens is that late payment penalty and arrears. So a lot of times, if you do not have an automated system, you are billing the resident, but maybe you are not adding the arrears, whatever is due from previous quarter, which they have not paid yet, right? So the resident again knows that, okay, I can easily fool this association. They've forgotten my previous dues. I will not pay this one also. They'll not remember in my next bill, right? So when you have an automated system, arrears get automatically included in the bill. And the late payment penalty. So late payment penalty is literally a hot potato issue. If you calculate it wrongly, like somebody who should not get late payment penalty, like it often happens, someone sent an NEFT and it could not be recognized because that person did not put their flat number or whatever. And you did not know that, that payment was done by this flat, and next month you are putting a late payment penalty. That person is going to bring a big dispute about it because they're very sensitive about paying penalty against their home when they've actually paid on time. And what happens then is that the penalty will have to get waived. So when this waiving of penalties happen, it happens very often when the penalty is calculated manually. Waiving of penalty happens often. Again, that erodes the seriousness of the system, right? So if you have the arrears, late payment penalty, etc., calculated accurately and part of your bill, you just become a very professional billing entity who is taken damn seriously. And then most importantly for you as management committee, this billing and collection is the most, effort intensive activity if it's not automated from the accounting side. What do I mean is, you are a 200 unit community. Every quarter you are going to send out 200 bills and collect 200 receipts, which is 400 journal entries. So if you're doing it in a tally or whatever, it has to be done manually. If you have a system like ADDA where it can happen automatically when the bill is posted and when the collection comes in, then you do not have that additional admin effort, which is substantial. So if this one thing a community brings together, the on-time billing, accurate bill, late payment interest and arrears calculated accurately, and accounting done automatically, you have an insurance that every month or quarter, whatever is your billing period, your association's money will come in. Your defaulter percentage will definitely drop. Of course, we can't say it will become zero because there are some chronic defaulters. You can never make it zero, but then it will become as minimum as possible, right? So this is one thing that every community must put in place because a lot depends on the financial health of the community. Today, residents are staying at home, feeling safe and secure because they know that they have sufficient funds to ensure a lot of processes are in place to keep them safe, right? About the hygiene of the community, about the, the sanitization measures, etc. So financial health of residential communities is most important during these times. Any questions on this particular part?
Yeah, one thing again, Pradeep.
Yes, Pradeep.
ADDA doesn't offer, sort of a card on file.
Okay.
Where
Storing
I can,
the card details.
because every time I have to remember that, I have to make that payment. So if the society is asking me for monthly payments,
Yes.
every month I have to go and make the payment. Instead of that, if I make it automated payment so that I give I give my card details just like a bill
Mr.
payment,
Pradeep,
just like a bill payment.
Mr. Pradeep, can I just interrupt you? In case you
Go ahead,
have
Kanika.
logged in from two places, please just log out from one. There's an echo happening.
There's an echo happening.
No, I haven't logged in from two places. No, I haven't logged in from two places.
Okay.
Okay, we'll sort it out from our end.
Okay, we'll sort it out from our end.
Okay, thanks, Kanika. So, Mr. Pradeep, good point. We are working on ways of creating these, standing instruction via card or any other method. We are working with our payment gateway providers to do that. So definitely, it is on our roadmap.
Hi, this is Richard. Can you please repeat the question?
His question was that on ADDA, what happens? The bill posting happens automatically, and residents get the notification that the maintenance bill is available against their unit, and they can make payment.
Right.
So then they go to the ADDA app
Right.
and they make payment, either using credit card, debit card, or using UPI or net banking. So Mr. Pradeep's question was that can we not have a standing instruction like keep the card details on the file, and every time that the bill gets posted, automatically the amount gets deducted from the card.
Okay.
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 That is one type standing instruction there. That is one type standing instruction there. Standing instruction.
Sorry. Yeah, currently we don't have any standing instructions. Every time the bill is posted, typically majority of the communities do it quarterly. So yes, so every quarter when the bill is posted, the resident has to come to the ADDA app and make, review their bill and make the payment. Any other questions on this? So we have got lot of case studies. The one.
Excuse me.
Yes,
excuse me. It's Dipayan.
Hello, Dipayan.
From Tata Ariana Complex. Tata Ariana Complex. We have not started using your ADDA software. Just want to know whether this software is having facility to create ledger and prepare the financial statement if we enter all the details.
Yes. Yes.
Over.
So what ADDA has is complete billing and collection module integrated with complete accounting. So if you will set up your chart of accounts, then a lot of journal entries happen automatically. For example, for billing and collection related, all entries happen automatically. Your facility booking related entries happen automatically. When someone, a resident books a party hall and makes payment, that accounting entry happens automatically. On the vendor side, when you are entering vendor invoice, that entry, GL entry happens automatically. When you are paying the vendor and entering the check detail, again, that entry happens automatically. So about 70% of your general ledger, your trial balance is built up automatically itself. Of course, some manual journal entries are to be made, which the system has provision. So at the end of the year, you will be able to get your complete financial statements, which you can format according to how your auditor requires. And also taxes like TDS and GST.
Just to add, that means you mean to say since we have not used it, so probably my question might be elementary. So we no need to use any tally or any other software. So ADDA can provide all this information. Tax liability, GST, etc. TDS.
You are right, Dipayan.
Good afternoon.
You do not need to have tally.
Good afternoon.
Okay.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Yes, sir.
This is Jambunathan from. We have been using this ADDA for quite some time, and there is absolutely no issue. Okay, ma.
Mr. Jambunathan.
Okay, ma.
Yeah, Mr. Jambunathan, can you please repeat?
Yeah, we have been using for quite some time. And the accounting part is excellent.
Thank you, sir.
So I just want to discover some good things for me. Highlight that. That's why I'm talking. Thank you.
Okay. Sir, I could not hear everything you said. So if you could put it in the chat, because I think you're saying good things about the software, so can't let it go.
Okay, I'll do that. Okay, I'll do that now.
Sure, sir.
Is it
All
now
right.
better? Is it now better?
A little better, just in between your voice is breaking.
Okay, ma'am. Fine. Okay, ma'am. Fine.
If you don't mind, can we start this machine? There's an echo for everything.
You're getting an echo for everything, is it?
Except on you.
Difficult to understand.
I think the echo stopped now.
No, it is there.
No, it's not. No, it's not. We're still like.
It is there.
Okay. Karnika, any idea what is?
No, this is a Zoom bug.
It's a bug in the Zoom?
Yeah.
Let's try restarting the call.
So, everyone, I have a suggestion. Whatever questions you have, just put it in the chat box.
Okay. Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
Sorry, I wanted it to be interactive, but I guess we have to go with the limitations. Okay. So let's then go to the next one. Please feel free to put in your questions. We will take care of those. Okay, so we were right here and we all agree that, the one thing that we have to, ekdam make it foolproof is our maintenance, billing and collection system. Now, what else can we do? So those of you who are getting started with your accounting system, here are certain golden rules that we have seen very well run apartment communities follow. First thing is that say no to cash collections, right? So as much as possible, payment should happen online. Via UPI also is available now, best thing. Even the payments that you make to vendors, as much as possible, it should be monthly contracts. So all payments are being made by made by check at the end of the year. Even the small expenses you do, like, your samosa tea order for, meeting and all that stuff, please see if you can set up a contract with your local bakery or whoever, so that as much as possible, all payments are happening to vendors by check, so that minimum cash is being handled. This is a frequent issue in communities which have even been running for years, that they have pilferage, especially related to cash. They lose good managers, in this whole thing. So please minimize cash. If you can become zero cash community, nothing like it. Like, zero waste community, zero cash community. Secondly is that a lot of communities do not deduct TDS when they make payment to vendors. So that becomes a challenge. So please make sure that you deduct TDS. Third is that a lot of communities fall for multiple bank accounts, because if your community has good number of units, a lot of banks will want to give you bank account, and the community sign up for it. It's okay, no problem there. But please make sure that for collecting from your residents, you are using only one bank account. Okay, so that it becomes very easy to reconcile. But when you are parking funds, like, you have excess that you are moving at the end of the year to repair and maintenance fund or sinking fund or corpus fund, those you are welcome to create FDs, fixed deposits, in multiple banks, depending on the offers they are giving you. But for your operations purpose, please keep a single bank account, because bank reconciliation is one of those activities that really takes a lot of time during audit. And that happens when you have multiple bank accounts for operations. Number 4 is, as I said, bank reconciliation should be done regularly. Again, this brings in financial discipline. You do not lose good stuff because, they found that, okay, no one cares about what money is going where. And, it kind of spoils their ethics, right? So those kind of, this bringing in the financial discipline of bank reconciliation regularly, most important. And obtain audit supervision as early as possible. We have seen that societies run for 2-3 years and then they wake up to the fact that they have to audit their financial statements, they have to present it to the general body, they have to file it to Registrar of Societies. So it is very important that when the society is forming itself, engage an auditor on a retainer basis and get the whole accounts structured by them. The auditor company may not be operating it, but it's good they structure it and they set up bank reconciliation frequencies, internal audit frequency, external audit frequency. So these are just simple 5 golden rules that you can follow. One more that is not here is that please avoid these pro bono kind of accounting setup where a resident is doing all the accounting. because initially they may be very enthusiastic, they may take it on, it's very good of them. However, it is not very sustainable, right? And there will be errors and all, but you cannot really have a member accountable for these issues. So it is best that a resident or MC member supervises, but the day-to-day accounting operations is best done by a hired hand, right? It could be an agency or it could be an accountant individual who you are paying, right? So we also have a network of accounting service partners who are trained in ADDA. So if you find any issues that any accountant says, hey, I only want to use Tally and all that stuff, we have a large network of accountants who service our customers. So we'll be happy to introduce you to them. Sorry, this just moved on very fast. Okay, so we were on the golden rules. Next thing, the accounting schedule that you should be having in place. Every day, what is the activity to be done by your accountant or whoever is doing your data entry in ADDA? That vendor invoices need to be entered on a daily basis. Whatever vendor invoices are coming to you should be entered into the system. Accounting entry will happen automatically. They don't have to worry about debit what, credit what, not needed. Vendor invoice has come, just enter against the vendor name in ADDA. Secondly, if any check is coming, like someone does not want to pay online, they have paid by check, then you have to enter that. Again, if someone has paid by NEFT, right, direct bank transfer, you will have to enter that in ADDA. So this is something that has to be done on a daily basis. And of course, any vendor payment you are making. Any other thing related to billing collection, nothing you have to enter because that part happens automatically. So in this daily activity, there is no involvement of treasurer, only the accountant or whoever is your data entry staff is good enough. On a monthly basis, you can set up reconciliation of your bank accounts and reconciliation of any petty cash account you may have. You would pay your TDS, you would pay your GST. Who will do it? Again, the accountant will do it, but treasurer has to be involved in the reconciliation of bank accounts. So on a monthly, once a month, if the treasurer is going to sit with the accounting team and just supervise everything and do the bank reconciliation, you are good. Again, on a quarterly basis, you have to file the tax returns. Again, no need for the treasurer to involve other than getting a confirmation that it is done. On an annual basis, of course, you have to do the audit. When you do audit, you will have certain adjustment entries related to depreciation, etc. And you have to do IT return filing. So typically, there is no income tax on the collection that you do from your members, that is from your owners or tenants. But if you are having any collection from outsiders, then you should discuss with your auditor whether it would come under income tax purview or not. And once the audit is done and presented to the GBM, general body, so at the end of every year, you will conduct the AGM, annual general body meeting, where you will present the audited financials, and the same audited financials have to be filed with the registrar of societies. So of course, in this yearly thing, the main driver is the treasurer. Treasurer will ensure that all these things are getting done and sign off on the yearly statements. So this is accounting schedule. If followed very well, you will have an extremely well compliant society. Any questions here? Oh, sorry. We will take it on the chat towards the end. Okay. Now I think we should move on to the most interesting part. Okay. See, if you do all these things, for sure, you will be getting your collections on time. You will not be losing money in hidden, way that pilferages happen. And you will be saving a lot of admin effort, right? So here itself, your financials become healthy. Now, we are not happy just with health. We want beyond health. We want growth, right? So let's see that what are the things where there is ready money available. Question is that whether the management committee has the intent to unlock it. So first thing is that preventive maintenance of assets. This is one area where a lot of the expenses happen, like on repair and breakdown. But if the preventive maintenance is done in an organized way, following a proper schedule and reminders, then you could actually save on an average 40% of what you are spending on repair and breakdown cost. So most of the treasurers that I have spoken to, once they really go through their repair and breakdown costs, they find that those breakdown happened because the AMC vendor did not come on time and give his AMC service. For example, elevators. Elevators are the workhorses of any community, and it is mandatory to have elevator AMC, preferably from the OEM. Now, most communities get the AMC, but they don't follow up whether the AMC vendor is coming every quarter to give the service, right? So those kind of lot of blind spots that are there on the preventive maintenance of assets. Another great example I will give you. Societies that purchase a new equipment, the warranty and the invoice is filed in a very good place. But when the breakdown happens, let's say a new manager is there or a new MC is there, they do not remember that this is a new asset which is still under warranty. So they may actually get an outsider agency to repair it and pay for it. Whereas they could have got it free of cost if they had ready access, ready availability of the invoice and the warranty details. So there are many such areas where every community is losing money unless they have a very well-oiled process towards this asset management. And the main assets that you've discussed are transformer, generator, your swimming pool equipment, STP, WTP equipments, gym equipments, and so on. So that's one area of focus. Another is managing fixed deposits. So oftentimes, fixed deposits are parked and forgotten. It is not reviewed every year, checking how much interest we are getting and are there banks which are offering us better interests. So you will be amazed how many banks are eager to get society accounts. Because when it comes to corporate accounts, it is more or less saturated. You know, I mean, most of the corporates are very clear which are the 2-3 banks which they bank with. But societies is still an area where banks believe that they can give a lot of offers and all that and get the society's bank account. And they love society's bank account. I'll tell you, within closed doors, our banking partners have directly told us that we really love society's bank accounts because they are recession proof and things like that. You know, those funds are just parked. They are not really used up every year. You know, corporates will not park so much of operation cash. You know, they will use it in their operations, right? But communities have to, you know, park their funds. So they just love it. So you can really negotiate your fixed deposits well, roll them, you know, every year, review them and see if they are getting the best interest rates. And you could, you know, on an average get 20% higher interest than what you are getting today. Maximizing facility monetization. Okay, this is a very interesting area. See, for every community, your clubhouse is kind of the jewel in the crown, right? One of the main reasons people own a flat in your community or rent in your community are the facilities that it provides. Be it the gym, the pool, the play areas, your squash court, tennis courts, and things like that. And of course, there is maintenance cost for these facilities. But what happens is that most communities do not look at monetizing these facilities. How can you monetize? Of course, you can create memberships, but there are easy monetizations that most people don't look at. For example, the tennis coach who is coming and using your tennis court for giving classes, that tennis coach should be paying the association for utilizing the facility for his commercial purpose. Similarly, the dance teachers, the music teachers, the skating masters, there are so many tutors that we have seen that in a typical 200-unit community, there are anything between 10 to 15 tutors that visit every month. I mean, almost every day in a month, right? So most associations do not bother to collect from them because it's a hassle. Who will pursue and all that stuff? So that is one area. Of course, there are memberships. There are party hall that can be rented out to outsiders like handicraft exhibition or even small workshops by corporate or whatever, depending on the location of your party halls and all that. Because from our study of facility utilization, most facilities in communities are underutilized. They don't get fully utilized by the residents. So this is one very interesting area. And we have seen that certain communities make on an average 80,000 per month extra when they open up their facility monetization. Finally, exploring vendor interests. So here we would tell you that obviously vendors have always been interested in providing certain stalls and, maybe putting up posters in apartment communities or requesting you that, can you please send this communication to all your residents via ADDA? some people have been doing it. We know that a lot of communities do send out, like a new medicine shop has opened.
San ma'am, you're not audible.
Hello.
Hello.
It's not
San
audible.
ma'am. San ma'am, can you hear me?
We lost her. We cannot hear.
Kanika, just hold on.
The audio has just gone off.
She will be back.
Okay.
I think the audio, the echo
Yeah,
is
yeah.
also gone. No,
Just
echo-
hold on for some time, everyone. She'll be back. Just a couple of seconds, okay?
It seems the eco issue has been sorted out. Huh? There is no echo now.
Yes, thankfully. So just hold on for a couple of seconds. And since the eco issue is not happening, I think we can go back to the interactive method of having the webinar. Okay?
I would also suggest that if people can privately put a chat to admin rather than just openly, because it keeps popping up otherwise every time.
Okay, let's see to that, because not everybody is very savvy with the Zoom tool. So whatever is convenient for the individuals to ask their questions. Okay.
Thank you.
I think you can do show manage participant. That will show on the side, not on the presentation.
Hi all, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Loud and clear.
I'm so sorry, I got kicked out of Zoom. And I hope you are able to see my screen as well.
Yes, the screen is there.
Okay, great. So what is it last that you heard?
About the vendor interest.
Exploring vendor interest.
Perfect. Perfect. Then I guess we have not missed much. All right. So yes. So during this Corona, as I was saying, lot of vendors want to approach associations to bring their services because people are at home. So we believe this is a great opportunity for associations, which can cover up for the extra expenses that are happening due to Corona. As an example, we have a program going on called Bring the Store to the Door. So some of the vendors like Lenovo who want to, bring their laptops for school children. Now that most schools are starting online, they want to bring their school specific laptops and display that in a van. So they bring a van into the community and all the residents are informed, and they can come and check out the laptops, as well as they can bring existing Lenovo laptop for any repair or servicing, right? So we thought this is a great program where Lenovo is willing to pay the association, and residents also get benefited, because today when we go to our nearby retail stores, typically laptop stock is not there. Here it is coming almost directly from the brand via the reseller. So like this, there are a lot of vendors who are expressing interest to bring in these services to the community. Now, what are the issues in this, right? So management committees, we have seen, oftentimes avoid. I'm audible?
Yes, you are.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
So management committees often avoid these external vendor interests because they worry that will it be fine for my residents? Will it not bring in too much disturbance in my, peace and quiet? Will they follow the do's and don'ts of my community? All these issues which are genuine. So what we are doing is that from ADDA, we are seeing that is it possible that we standardize these do's and don'ts and all that stuff, and make sure the vendors are aware of these things and they follow it, and we ensure that the payment also happens in time. Again, this is a problem that management committees have, is that there may be certain stalls and all that will happen, but who is going to follow up with the vendor to make the payment, right? So it is usually left to the manager, and oftentimes it is dropped. It is forgotten, right? So we are seeing that now ADDA has worked with management committees to save cost for them. Can we also help them open up new revenue streams, right? So this is something that we are looking at. There are top brands who are interested in approaching apartment complexes. So you will hear from us. If you are interested, you could participate in those programs. So these are the few areas that we have found can be opened up that are ready for unlocking for additional revenues by associations. There is one more thing. We have had some member associations report they are doing. For homes that are quarantined, right? A lot of communities, what they're doing, if one person is quarantined, they're requesting the entire family to quarantine. Because there's no point if one person is quarantined in the home, but the rest of the family is outside, they believe. So towards that, the issues are, okay, what about the essentials delivery and all that stuff? How will it come to their house? So what they are doing is that they are dedicating maybe a security guard or a housekeeping staff to deliver all their stuff from the gate to their door. Towards that, they are collecting an amount, okay, called quarantine service charges or something from these quarantined homes. So that can be anything between 300 rupees to 500 rupees per day is what we have heard people are collecting. So this we thought is a good idea, because if your choice is between quarantining in a hotel where you pay up a lot more versus in the comfort of your home, and you are keeping your community safe, you are paying for the service of the convenience of everything coming to your door. So this is something I thought I can share to make up for some of the stress on the finances of the association to make sure that residents are safe. I think this is my last slide. So we could open up on the, so all these things together that you are looking at can actually open up revenues of around 2 lakh per month for a medium-sized community. So if you have any questions, we can now open up for that.
Yes,
interrupting everyone, please. So since the eco issue is solved, what I suggest is click on the raise hand button. You will see it on Zoom. And in case you cannot find the raise hand button, just put it on chat and I will call upon each individual and you can ask your questions one by one. Otherwise, there's going to be an overlap of people asking questions. Okay, please do continue. Thank you. Mr. Pradeep, you had a question first.
Just to do a time check, I had said we'll complete at 12, but I think this will go till 12:15. I hope you're fine, but we will have a hard stop at 12:15. Please go ahead.
The question was around the vendors. So, you gave an example of Lenovo. How about, most essential things like groceries and, DMart, how about association with them first rather than, the high-end technology products?
Yes, yes. No, absolutely. So we did have grocery vendors approach us, and honestly, we are looking at working on a feature that can help in organizing these essentials delivery much better. We know most communities are using WhatsApp for organizing these things. You will actually hear from us very soon related to organizing the essentials delivery better. And it can be done with any vendors. It is up to the association who they want to associate with and use this feature for organizing it. Because, every area has different local vendors who can serve the essentials.
Sure.
The next question is by Mr. Sanjay Agarwal.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, Mr. Sanjay.
Okay. So for it is one is related to what Mr. Pradeep said. For right now, I think we have local vendors, and if we want to use them for home delivery, it is cumbersome because in terms of payment or how you would collect or place that order. So either what we did was we asked the residents to directly connect with the vendors and then have them deliver instead of managing it centrally. Or if there's something, an API or something, which is say WhatsApp based or some other technology, which any vendor can use to assess or to access the residents and they can place an order. Similarly, like if I have a plumber or if I have an electrician or somebody like that, and if I want to make him somebody which any local resident can use in terms of personal service, that would be helpful if we can do that.
Okay. Yes. So part of this we are solving with the feature that we are working on. Other than that, yeah, UPI payments is something that has picked up with paying to plumbers and electricians and all.
Yeah, payment is not an option, but just making them available, say list of vendors which are like electrician, plumbers and all that within ADDA, so that they can directly access. We have residents. In addition to that,
so Mr. Sanjay, for this, if you go to your ADDA app, you will see a clear section called Discover, where there are two places which can serve your purpose. One is called Discover Services, where we have already listed vendors like High Care and Portia and all these kind of top service providers in every home service category.
Yeah.
There are also these pest control companies, home cleaning, deep home cleaning, plumbing, all that stuff. Second is vendors, where you can list the local vendors like your local plumber, electrician, who the residents can avail, that you can also list them along with feedback.
Okay,
so residents can, yes, you please explore that, Discover.
The other one was regarding bank reconciliation. I get
Yes.
payment for monthly maintenance, but again, I need to go back, and a lot of people are paying by check or some other means or direct transfer. And then they say that they have already paid through whatever means they have, with any NEFT and all that. But I need to again go back and check whether that payment has been made in bank or not before I accept the payment, which they have done that. Not through a payment gateway. It is I've already paid option kind of thing. So
yes,
yes. Way to like automatically reconcile or some like with the banks, integration with the bank, where they can give us that okay, these payments have come and I can directly reconcile instead of going to one by one all the payment that has happened.
Okay. So first thing is that it is best if residents move to online payment, because you say check, whatever, someone ultimately at your end, at the association end, has to walk the check to the bank, which has become in itself a hurdle in these days. So if the resident is paying online, and especially if they are using UPI today, they have no convenience charge, they actually get points. So when I pay my maintenance charges on ADDA, it gives me notification on my Google Pay, and I pay something like 7,000 rupees for a quarter. I get very nice scratch cards. I get good cash back, right, for what I'm paying. So for the first time, residents are getting cash back for paying their maintenance charges. So they must use it.
How do I enable that? I'm very little information on that.
So if you could on chat, put your name of your apartment complex, we'll make sure that the payment gateway is enabled for you. UPI is part of that. It comes with the payment gateway enabling. So from ADDA end also, we are doing a lot more. We have started a lot more promotion to make residents aware that, paying by UPI today is no brainer. Okay. But of course, if some people still prefer paying by check or NEFT, then I have paid option is there in the app where they can enter. As far as bank reconciliation, we have it semi-automated. So you can, download all the transactions and match with your bank statement. We are in talks with multiple banks, sir. I'll be very honest. But unfortunately, in India, there is no standard format that every bank follows with regard to integrations. If you look at US, they have this format called BAI and BAI2, which is utilized by every bank as a standard Excel or CSV that they give, which anyone can integrate. But in India, we have different banks that do differently. So we are still exploring this. We hope to, arrive at a completely automated kind of a bank reconciliation very soon. But until then, we have the, semi-automated transactions in reconciliation.
Okay, before we move on to more questions from the participants, so we were collating questions from form responses as well. San ma'am, there were two major buckets of questions that had come in. Number one, how can ADDA help in promoting transparency and cost optimization? And number two, how can sustainable initiatives like in-house waste management or using renewable energy have a better ROI?
Oh, very heavy questions. Yeah, I have to write the second question before I forget the first one.
And I have one more question.
Yes, sir.
Can I raise it?
If you could just hold on. Yeah,
yes,
let me finish this one.
Okay.
Second is about sustainable initiatives. Okay. So first question is how ADDA can help with the transparency and cost optimization. See, ADDA as a system is a transparent system. We make sure that no product feature is built which inhibits transparency. Right? So once you start using ADDA, you will realize that if you're a treasurer, you can have a peaceful night's sleep because you really can't do much golmaal on ADDA system, right? So it's a very transparent system. The day you sign up with ADDA, you can be assured that you are setting up a transparent system for your community, which will, people will thank you for the long term 10, 20, 30 years that people will live in the community. So that is a given. And if in case, you want more detail, best is to see the demo of the system. Second is cost optimization. Again, a lot of features have been built, which I highlighted today, which can help with the cost optimization. I think today's seminar should have been useful in figuring out that the simple modules that are there, like asset tracker, your income tracker, expense tracker, all these can actually are the vehicle for cost optimization. Question is what processes you want to put in place. The system will help you with that. Second question, sustainable initiatives. So we have installed an award called Rise High Award, where we request communities to share what initiatives they have taken related to waste management, water management, renewable energy management and all. And we actually have awards. This award has been running for about 5 years now. Apart from that, we do a lot of workshops. Like in this Corona times, we did waste management relevant to Corona. So in partnership with some vendors. So yes, we make sure that our MC members are having all the knowledge they require to run a very sustainable community. Yes, Mr. Sanjay, your question, or whoever was having a question.
Lady
Mr.
Banerjee,
Jambanathan.
yeah, Lady Banerjee, this is my question. See, how to motivate people to become office bearers? Many of the systems I find is that most of the people are not even willing to attend the meetings. What is can ADDA give me some kind of a suggestion on?
Sir, I'll give you 2 suggestions. One thing is that you have to show the system that you have set up. So I'm assuming you're looking for successor. That boss, I have done it for 1 year, 2 years. Somebody else should do it, right? So first of all, you should show them that, look, this is the system I have set up. We have set up, right? We just want to hand over this nicely well-run oiled machinery, and we are there to guide you. Most often MCs hesitate, thinking, they just don't have that kind of time to devote and all that. But once they see, okay, there is a system, and all they have to do is supervise. Like, I showed you the accounting schedule where the treasurer had to involve only at 2 points, right? So once a month and then once in a year for the audit. So I think that kind of a clarity has to be given, because we are not taught in our school or colleges how to manage an apartment complex. So people have no idea. That is first thing. Second thing is recognizing outgoing management committee members. I have seen very few communities who do justice to this. So at the end of the year, AGM is done, election is done, new committee is in place. The outgoing committee has to be visibly, recognized with trophies or medals or flower bouquets and things like that, because obviously they deserve all that appreciation for having given their personal time, their professional time towards building the systems of the community and running it so well. So I think that is one aspect we encourage all our customers to put in place. It's a simple thing, but it actually gives a very good perception that this is something we respect. It is not a thankless job. We respect our management committee for what they do.
Banerjee, can you just tell me one job which is thankful job in this world? Almost all jobs are thankless jobs. If you are classified that way.
We have to make it thankful.
Mr. Jambanathan, we have more people waiting for their questions.
Go,
okay. So we'll take in 3 more questions. First up is Mr. Ankush. First up is Mr. Ankush, and then we will call Mr. Ashok and then Mr. Dipayan. Okay?
Okay. Good afternoon, ma'am. We have seen in the gatekeeper there the new feature that you have included about maintaining the temperature of maids.
Correct.
Okay, so is it possible that for the members can get it, because we get in the check-in, check-out time currently, but we don't get that temperature noting. Is it possible to get, because nowadays we are opening up in Pune, which is a complete red zone. It will really help in understanding whether the maid is suffering something like that, or what was the kind of the temperature she had. Is it possible?
For the residents to see the temperature, yes.
Yeah.
So this is already in the immediate roadmap. You will see this feature often.
Okay, and I just continuation on that is, in ADDA has something into suspense transactions. Like we get a lot of suspense transactions. How can we? How can ADDA help us? Like many people do NEFT transaction but don't put the transaction ID. And we every quarter
you have an option called unidentified credits. So you could actually enter those suspense transactions there.
Okay. Thank you.
Next up is Mr. Ashok.
Hey, hi, this is Ashok from Blue Ridge, Pune. We are a unique society. We're part of a township where we need to charge differential interest for different line items of the invoice. We charge something for township, something for society maintenance. So is that differential payment interest can be charged in the auto calculation feature what you have? Or is there any plan to have it in the near future? That is one.
We do have.
We have some other. I'll just add one more question. We also are planning for a biometrics access control. We were exploring whether API can be given to access some of the data for using there because we wanted to store it locally. So is there any plan for that as well? Thanks.
Right. Great. So first question, the way you are working, right, it comes in our multi-entity billing where actually you have two entities. One is the society, one is a township, right? So actually one resident in the single view can see bills from multiple entities. So they will see the society bill and they will see the township bill. Each payment can go to a different bank account, right? So please explore that setup, multi-entity billing, because we have a lot of communities where this setup is there, where they are part of an apex society and the main society, right? We have cases where the builder is also presenting bill and society is also presenting bill for different purposes. So ADDA has actually very rich architecture when it comes to these different type of billing configurations. So please explore the multi-entity billing for Blue Ridge.
Okay, great, thanks. And the API side?
Biometric, we have integration, API integration with biometric, with automatic number plate recognition, with RFID readers and all. So we can definitely help you with that.
Okay, the next question is from Mr. Dipayan.
Hello. Yes, my question is, we are relatively new society. So as of now, the management, the accounting, everything is happening through data. So they are maintaining the accounts, as I heard, is in Tally. So if at all we are going for ADDA, whether the previous year records can be automatically come to the ADDA through API mode or any other mode?
Let me call upon one of our colleagues who probably every day does one Tally integration, Tally migration into ADDA. Sunil, are you there? Can you chip in?
Yeah. I'm there. Sir, can I know more about it? I mean, from when you're from when you want to migrate the data from Tally? I mean, first thing is
I think it should be minimum 3 years data should be there in Tally.
Okay.
So fine. This 3 years data has to come to the ADDA system if at all we are going for it.
Sir, see, the best practice is you have these 3 years. If I'm not wrong, it is audited and signed by the auditors, right? It is a finalized audit, right?
Yes.
Okay. What I would this is what we do for the many societies, and this is standard practice. So what can be done here is whatever your financials data of previous year, okay, that can be uploaded in ADDA as an admin files. And if you want, that can be uploaded as admin file. And from the present financial year, April 2020, we can onboard your real data, running transaction in ADDA, into ADDA.
Okay.
So the short answer is that it can be done, sir. I think Sunil will get it done right away for you. He's ready for that. But it absolutely can be done. In most cases, this is what happens, that they were maintaining some accounting system. Often it is Tally, from which it is migrated to ADDA. I saw in the chat one of our accounting service partners, which is an accounting agency, has shared that they can also help you do that if you would like to have them help.
Okay.
So
Fine.
doable.
And one more thing to add, just like if at all there is an error in the previous year data, that also can be sorted out even though it is integrated, right?
Typically, it is best that previous years you take over only an audited financial. Of course, if an error is there, they will have to submit those rectified accounts. But it's very important that during builder handover, you are taking over audited accounts only, in which case chances of errors will be very less.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
So we do not have any more questions as of now. Salman, we can end the webinar here with the last vote of thanks.
Fantastic. So I think we are in time. So please feel free to reach out to us at adda.io. I had shared my email ID. I will just quickly share it. Feel free to send any specific questions you have related to financial management or about the product, I'm happy to get it answered. So thank you so much for your time. And we really look forward to powering communities during this time. And you will see a lot of new features. We are very excited to work on a few features that will make life a little easier for management committees. So with that, we will end today's session. Thank you so much. If there are any questions on chat, you could actually drop your email ID along with the question. We can get it answered. So Karnika, you could probably keep this session open for the next 5 minutes in case somebody wants to key in their question, 5 to 10 minutes.
Yes, we'll do that.
We'll do that. Great. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Wish you
Thank
all the best.
you all. Thank you all. Thank you all. Nice.
All of them.